So you were together with your first husband for 10 years,
Yes.
3 children, married quite young.
Yeah.
And then sadly that broke apart. But
Yeah.
you had your second husband, you were with him for a while, then you had your son.
Yeah.
And he unfortunately had a relationship with somebody else. And so that came apart
they
as well.
do, yeah.
So you are then a single mum,
Yeah.
and you say you've got 2 choices. What were your 2 choices?
Well, I think at the point where that happened, I was feeling pretty negative about myself because obviously here I was, you know, alone and older and nobody's going to ever want me and, oh, that's it. So my confidence was rock bottom. And I thought, well, you can either just fade into the background, you know, let yourself go, look after children, grandchildren, do all that, or you can come out fighting. So I sort of took the other approach and decided I wasn't going to let it beat me. So I sort of reinvented myself and just forced myself back out on the dating scene.
And so lots of your friends were either married or in
Yeah.
partnerships. You ended up going out with your daughters and their friends to begin with.
That was the problem, Holly. I think that the thing is that when you are an older woman, all your peer group is still with their partners quite a lot of the time, and you're sort of stuck. So I just started going, oh, I needed to get out, you know.
Of course, and you were getting attention. And to begin with, you were like, hang on, are these guys just being polite?
Yeah, at first I
weren't.
thought they were just being really polite to me and, you know, just being nice.
Were you surprised?
Yes, very.
So what?
Still am.
You met the first guy. You're still surprised now?
Oh, yes, even now, I
mean,
think.
you've been terribly successful.
You said it did something for your confidence, but actually this is a two-way street here.
I think so.
Because?
I think because older women, obviously, once you've got comfortable in your own skin with all this, I think we make them feel special because you're the older, more experienced woman and you've chosen them. And I think there is a degree of that. A lot of the times they just want to tick the older woman badge,
Right,
you know, that I've sort of...
And libido-wise, you're meant to be best matched at that stage, aren't you, older lady, younger man?
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely true.
Well,
yeah.
you know.
Explain relationships of sorts.
Relationships of sorts. So, whilst you're not seeing them every week, you're not having them round every 5 minutes, they're not meeting your family necessarily, you're not meeting their family. You may see people for long, long periods of time. I've dated people for years, you know, quite a few years, months. So you see them, you know, they're on your radar. So every now and, you know, every other week you might meet up for a date or you might go and see them.
But non-exclusive.
No, not normally. It can get tricky, that, you know, especially if you get emotions involved, which is probably the downside, is where if you do get a bit attached. And that works both ways, not just me getting attached to them.
Do they know about each other?
Most of them do. I'm not...
I mean, they do now.
Yeah, if you're going to... Yeah. Good point, Phil. Good point. No, I am fairly open about that.
There is another downside. Well, you say it's a downside. Some ladies may be watching this and thinking, I don't understand why that's such a downside. Could you hold that T-shirt up, please? Now, we've bleeped it, but...
Physical bleep.
There it is.
There it is.
So it says, please don't send me a picture of your bleep. And this is...
Why is
area,
is that a problem? Begins with a D, by the way.
It begins with a D, in case anyone's in any doubt what we're talking about, and ends with a K.
Well, someone in the gallery just said, what did it say? I mean, come on.
This happened really early on. In fact, the guy we were talking about from Ascot, he was the first one I ever received because I didn't know anything about dating in the modern world, as it were, because I'd been with one guy for the last over 20 years.
Yeah.
And, one morning he messaged me and I opened it and there was this picture of his dangly bits and I was sort of, what? I was sort of shocked. I did laugh because it was funny. Not what you're expecting on a Monday morning, just getting up with your cup of tea to find...
How often does this happen with boys?
Very frequently. Very frequently.
Boys you know or boys you don't know?
Sometimes it's if you're talking to them on like Tinder or Bumble, or, you know, they sometimes say, can I send you a picture? Now, if they're polite enough to ask, at least you've got the opportunity to say no thanks. But quite often, they just send it. And you think you're getting like a nice face shot or a nice suit shot.
That must come as quite a surprise. Is it ever okay?
I think only if you know the landscape personally. I think if you're dating...
That's the most elegant way of saying that. I got to know his landscape rather personally.
So what I'm saying... to clarify, if I may, clarify, if you've been dating someone, and maybe it's long distance, which often mine are, and they send you that, that's not offensive then because you've had the pleasure and it's familiar and therefore not offensive. But when people on Instagram who I've never met
are just sending them.
Are just sending me. They live in South Africa or Australia, and you open a message and there's this picture. You know, quite often you get just that bit. Sometimes you get the whole talk. The head's always cut off for some reason. You get the whole body. It's just, you know, you're sitting there having lunch with someone, and you know,
haven't you occasionally looked at one and thought, oh, it might be worth following up on this?
Well, I do look at. Look, I'm not a prude. I mean, obviously there's nothing wrong with that part of the anatomy as far as men are concerned, but you usually get to know when you're going to expect to see it. It's not something that you normally expect to find just at breakfast or over lunch.
And is it something that you ever return the favour yourself? Or
Never. No, I don't do those. No, I've never done them because it's too risky. I don't think it's necessary.
No.
It certainly won't help you get a date. And what I've found is that most guys that send you those pictures really early on, when you're communicating, you rarely get to meet them.